Rampage Jackson is still on his no accountability tour. Now he's blaming Syko Stu for why he got attacked. Like he's really laying into Syko Stu here.
He gets in the ring, go back and watch this shit. They put the music on for him. They changed the music for him, bro.
Okay.
The promoter told him to fuck him up, and I think AJ Man is the only one that had a little common sense and tell Roger, like, look, remember what a receipt is. You just pop him one time.
Mm.
He didn't say
AJ
that,
Man
but
was the only
okay.
one that had like a little common sense right then. I wish he would have called me, but I was on the ground in New York, so it probably wouldn't have went through.
So imagine blaming Psycho Stu, but also defending AJ Mana. No, he didn't say just pop a one. He said give him a receipt, which could mean anything to someone who's not in the business.
Bro, they changed the music when my son get in the ring. They, bro, but no, this is a fucked up thing though. What took them so long? Because they said, all right, you punch him until we pull you off. What took his other friends, his teammate, whatever the fuck they are, so long to get in there and get Roger off of him? Think about that. That's probably why ain't nobody talking to the fucking police. Not because I fucking paid anybody off. I wouldn't pay. I would never do that. You can't even do that shit in America. That shit is illegal as fuck. I don't know those dudes. And that shit. Then they put me in there, and I can go to fucking jail for some shit like that. I ain't that fucking stupid. Y'all, the police need to investigate that shit. Why it took his friend so long to get in that fucking ring?
But all to say, regardless, he should have never even been there.
He should never even been there. But I'm gonna tell you. But I'm gonna tell you this. I'm gonna leave you to this. And this gonna be the last time I talk about this shit. This ain't the first time Syko Stu done some shit like this backstage. Motherfucker be drinking all the goddamn time, and he pays that pro wrestling saved me from this PTSD and stuff, like nobody want to fire his ass. But AJ Mana told me everything. This ain't the first time he done some drunken shit like this backstage. So they know his ass. They ain't gonna snitch on him. I don't owe them none of them no loyalty. My loyalty to my son, and even though I don't fuck with my son right now, I'm still gonna keep it 100 and be loyal. The police need to investigate that shit. How many times Syko Stu gonna attack somebody backstage and piss people off, being drunk and shit. Then you guys will figure out what took so long for them pro wrestlers to get in that fucking ring and pull my son off of them.
All right. So listen here. Well, again, I do agree with the fact that there are other people that are just as responsible for what Raja did, including Psycho Stu himself. All right. And also, I've been telling you why there have been no arrests yet. Rampage says that himself about how it was all planned. Why did it take so long for everyone to pull him off? That's probably why they ain't talking to the police, as he puts it. That's probably why they're not going to the police, because it is a pro wrestling, which is what I've been saying. But with all that said, Raja still almost killed a guy. Okay, even though yes, Psycho Stu shouldn't have smashed the can on him. Even though yes, that guy had no business being in a wrestling ring. I'm talking about Raja. Yes, even though he had no business being there, he had no AG Mana shouldn't have told him to go get his receipt. At the end of the day, Raja was disrespected by Psycho Stu by smashing a can on him and felt, yo, yeah, it's necessary that I almost beat the guy to death over smashing of a can. Okay. They squashed it. They showed him talking about shaking hands. If Raja wasn't truly over the whole can thing, if he truly felt disrespected, then what he should have done was not participated in the event. He had the choice to not participate. He could have said, nah, man, I don't want any of this. You guys are all drunk. This guy smashed a can over my head. I don't want no part of this. I'm not going to participate. If he'd recognized that he was so angry that he was going to go in there and nearly beat the crap out of Psycho Stu, or he did beat the crap, I should say, beat him to death almost, then he should have taken himself out of the situation. That's what a grown man who takes responsibility for his action does. He doesn't then, after squashing it with Psycho Stu, he doesn't then go into the ring and almost beat a guy to death. It doesn't matter if everyone else enabled him to do so. At the end of the day, he should have taken himself out of that situation if he knew he was so angry, if he felt so disrespected by the can thing that he knew that he was going to go in there and beat the crap out of the guy for real. That's what a grown man who takes responsibility does, Rampage Jackson. And you, as a father, listen, I get it. You love your kid. I get you're trying to stand up for your kid. I understand that as a father myself. I understand standing up for your kid. But there's standing up for your kid, and then there's enabling your kid. And there's a fine line you have to walk there. And the fact of the matter is, Rampage going on these appearances, making excuse after excuse for Raja, that's enabling him. That's saying putting the blame mostly on Syko Stu, like he shouldn't have smashed the can out. They said what you're doing is you're telling your son, "Oh, it's okay to almost beat a man to death if he smashes a can on your head. That's the right thing to do. That's what you do in that situation." Okay, that's what you're telling your son when you say things like this. You're enabling him. All right, and it's no wonder that Raja is the way it is when you have parents like yourself telling him, hey, it's not your fault. You couldn't control yourself. It's actually everybody else's fault. That's what you're telling him when you go on here and you make all these excuses for him. Okay. And so, Rampage, listen, he may not go to jail for this, but Rampage himself has admitted that Raja has gotten into altercations even with him. His own son attacked him. He had to put him in a guillotine. Okay. So listen, clearly your son has issues. And if you don't hold your son responsible and tell him, listen, it doesn't matter if he smashed a can on your head. It doesn't matter if he was being disrespectful. It doesn't give you the right to go and nearly beat him to death. All right. When you tell him that, then he could maybe change his act. But if you're sitting here telling him, no, no, it's actually Syko Stu's fault, it's actually everyone else's fault that you did that, well, then what you're going to do, you're telling him then is that, no, 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 it's actually okay. It's actually reasonable that you almost beat him to death over this incident. So why don't you actually be a father and tell him that that's wrong? And actually, why don't you give him alternate solutions? Because otherwise, if you don't teach him how to properly channel his anger or properly handle these situations, your kid's going to end up in jail eventually. It may not be over this, but eventually he will end up in jail. And that's all I got to say about that.